Hey, what's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video game review. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Yakuza, if I'm saying that correctly, apologize. Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, for the PlayStation 4. Now, last year I did a review of Yakuza 0, which is basically sort of like a prequel game, a game that was I think the beginning of the series and all. And for me, I did enjoy the game though. It had some flaws here and there, but it was still a fun game nevertheless, and where it was both serious and kind of silly at the same time. And since then, I mean, the game did very well, and obviously it got Sega really pushing out other entries into the series to bring over here to the West, including, I think, Yakuza Kiwami. I apologize if I'm saying the name incorrectly, which was a remake of the first game that came out back on the PlayStation 2, and I think they're doing a sequel as well. And now we have Yakuza 6, which is supposed to be the last entry, at least, of this main character as well. And after investing some time with the game, I will say that it is still an enjoyable experience, even if there are still a couple of flaws to the game though. So why don't we get started with our pros and cons. Let me get my notes out, move this over, and we'll start off first with the pro. And I will say the first one I would like to point out is the improved combat. One of the changes let me just start off by saying, like, in the past games, you had sort of like 3 different fighting styles that you can use, and you can power them up using basically, you know, the in-game currencies and so on. This one, they sort of reduce it down to just one fighting style, and every time you basically, you know, beat up an enemies, and so on, you basically earn certain experience points. Like, I think there's like strength and so on, and I think like agility, fortune, and so on. I apologize if I'm saying the names of them wrong, but in either case, every time you complete in combat though, you use those to improve, ranging from like maybe getting better items that enemy drop, to countering some of their attacks, to becoming much stronger, much more health, and so on. So for me, it's a little bit more simpler than, say, the other Yakuza games that I played, and I kind of like this approach. I like this. There's just only one fighting mechanics, not the 3 like there were in past Yakuza games. And I definitely like this like RPG kind of approach a little bit to it. So I definitely like this approach in terms of the combat and so on. The next thing I do want to point out in terms of the next part of the pros is the story though. And like any of the Yakuza games, or at least the ones I played, there are times when the story does get serious though, and there are times when the game does get silly at the same time. There are some silly moments and so on, and that to me is kind of a bit of a charm that the Yakuza series has had, and I like that they still maintain that as well. There are silly moments and there are serious moments in the game as well, so it can be silly and seriously, and I like they kept that trademark into it as well. And last but not least is the side activities. One of the things Yakuza, the series, I think is known for is doing some of the odd side activities, including ranging from going to a Sega arcade game, after all it is a Sega game, and playing like the old school version of Space Harriers, or playing darts, or playing Puyo Puyo, or even going and basically doing karaoke, which is bizarre and weird. But my favorite one so far, and it's so weird, but yet it's just awesome, just very interesting to play, and that is the live chat, where you basically speak to a that's right, the main character is speaking to a cute girl, and you have to sort of enter in the commands using, you know, the controller on the PS4 controller. So it's weird and so on. I have gameplay footage of it. You can check it out in the link in the description if you want to check out some of the gameplay of it. And it's just bizarre, but it's also fun. On top of that, you also earn experience points doing some of these side activities. I think this falls under the purple one called Fortune, which also you use to help power up your character as well. So the side activities are fun, they're enjoyable, and you do basically earn some experience points. So as far as side activities go, they are fun. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get to the cons. Plus, I want to give my thoughts on the movie that I saw before I saw Avengers Infinity War, but I never got a chance to give my thoughts and opinion, and that is Super Troopers 2, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of Yakuza 6, The Song of Life for the PlayStation 4, though. And now that I gave you my pros, why don't we get started with the cons? So as far as the cons go, I do have to say that, as I mentioned earlier, the combat, the improved combat, and I do have to say the combat is fun and enjoyable, though, so that doesn't change. That said, there are times when the camera can be an issue, especially when you're surrounded by enemies and you're trying to sort of attack the same enemies. And the part that at least as far as my experiences though, is that the lock-on just doesn't seem to work or anything like that, though. I mean, again, combat isn't terrible, but if you're looking for combat, like I think I mentioned this in Yakuza 0, if you're looking for like the Arkham style combat, you're not going to find that here, though. So for me, camera can be issues sometimes in combat, though. It doesn't make the game unplayable, but there are times when it can be an issue in certain situations. The next thing I do want to point out is, compared to some of the other Yakuza games, this game does run, at least as far as on the PS4 go, keep in mind playing this off of base PS4, this does run at a 30 frames per second as far as I am aware of. Again, not bad or anything like that, but it would have been nice if it was able to run at 60 frames per second like the other entries do, although those are sort of remakes of the old entry, so that's that, though. One thing I did notice, and maybe this is just me or something like that, but I did notice that when you do one of the side activities, such as I think the baseball one to be exact, then what happens is that during like one of the cutscenes when it starts to load, the frame rate kind of drops a little bit, though. And eventually it gets right back up to like the 30 frames per second, but it's sort of odd that it does that for some reason. Maybe they'll patch it out down the road or anything, but that seems to be the only case where I saw the frame rate drop, at least as far as I'm aware of, though. But other than that, everything else, the game runs at a 30 frames per second. Again, not bad. Would have liked for it to run at 60 frames per second. I would have liked that to happen. And last but not least, I will say, is the cutscenes, which, don't get me wrong, they're fun and interesting to watch, though. But sometimes it does feel like they do drag on a little bit, and you just want to get straight towards, the action, the gameplay, and so on. I mean, you could push the X button and just skip them if you want to, but if you're into like the story and all that stuff, you might miss out on some stuff. So, I mean, again, cutscenes are fun to watch, but they could feel like they're dragging on, and that might not be for everyone. Overall, Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, apologize if I'm saying the name wrong, is still a fun game indeed. The story is still interesting, even though it can get silly sometimes. Combat is still fun, even if it's not in the same level as, say, like the Batman Arkham series, to be exact. And while there are some minor flaws, though, I still do enjoy the game indeed, and it's worth playing, especially if you've been a fan of the series for a long time. It will be interesting to see how well this one does. Maybe they'll bring other entries over to the PS4 as well. And if this supposedly is the last entry of Kamukira, I apologize if I'm saying correctly. If this is the last time we're going to see him, though, it's a good way to end it on a high note for him. So overall, Yakuza 6, fun game indeed, and it's worth trying out if you get the chance. Okay, before I end this video, I do want to give my thoughts on the movie Super Troopers 2. Now, I saw this, I think a week before Avengers Infinity War came out. I originally was going to put this in another review, but I had to work on a Saturday, and I didn't get to see the movie until Sunday, and by then I already edited the video and all, it was too late. So, My thoughts about this one, which is very interesting that this was crowdfunded, it was successful and everything, is that it was funny. The movie was a riot. I couldn't stop laughing. The whole plot is silly. Is where they have to be mountaineers to a town that's going to succeed to the U.S. and all. And the whole thing is just weird and bizarre. My favorite part is when the cast of Super Trooper Chews dress up as mountaineers and just do some silly and odd things, though. It was funny, though. Raunchy at times, but still funny nevertheless, though. It is amazing that it took this long for them to do a sequel. If you're into a funny comedy or stoner-like comedy, it's definitely worth checking this out. Here's to hoping it does at least well enough that a Super Trooper 3 happens, and hopefully Broken Lizard will get back and do a sequel to 2006 Beer Fest and do the sequel Pot Fest or something like that. But overall, for a comedy and all, it was funny. I couldn't stop laughing. So if you have a chance, if you're not, God knows how many times you've seen Avengers Infinity War, to be exact, this probably will be my third time because I'm going with someone, they want to see it as well. So if you have outdid seeing that Infinity War so many times, you're looking for a good laugh and all, check out Super Troopers 2 if you get a chance, if it's still playing in theaters, though. It is a funny movie indeed. Okay, this concludes my video review of Yakuza 6, The Song of Life for the PS4, and my thoughts on the movie Super Troopers 2. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts of Yakuza 6? Are you enjoying the game as well? Is the game as fun as the other entries are? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it the type of game that interests you? Is it the type of game that doesn't interest you? Is the game performing well? Did you see any drop in frame rates like I did, or you didn't think that was an issue at all? And what are your thoughts about the movie Super Trooper 2? Did you get a chance to see that? Is that the kind of movie you're into? Did you see it before Avengers Infinity War came out, or after Avengers Infinity War came out? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!